Hello. Thank you for watching our pre-recorded information session for Plants and Climate Change Education, or PLACE, a peer learning group of Botanic Garden and Arboretum educational professionals. My name is Bailey Neese, Programs, Initiatives, and Networks Coordinator at the American Public Gardens Association. We are excited to collaborate with the United States Botanic Garden on this program, and we hope you find this video helpful if you're considering applying to PLACE. I'll pass things off to Emily. Could you please introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Emily Hessnes. I'm an education specialist with the U.S. Botanic Garden in Washington, D.C. I'm also here with my colleague, Ray.
Hi, I'm Ray Mims, a program manager overseeing our partnership program at the U.S. Botanic Garden.
So we'd like to share just a little bit of background on PLACE. So in 2022, the U.S. Botanic Garden started to pilot this program with our inaugural PLACE Learning Group. And now we're excited to be partnering with the American Public Gardens Association to open up this new call for applicants for the program. So what is PLACE? It's a peer learning group of institutions who are exploring how botanic gardens and arboreta can maximize their plant-centered climate change education niche. And we are all about learning together, creating and testing models, and then sharing that learning. To elaborate a little bit on those three areas, by learning, we mean that we want to engage botanic garden and arboretum professionals in opportunities to interact with each other and get feedback, as well as share ideas about approaches in plant-centered climate change education. With creating and testing, that's really about supporting public gardens in developing approaches to engage the public with climate change through plant-centered programs, activities, or interpretation. And then by the sharing piece, we mean that we want these climate change education approaches and models to provide lessons for the Botanic Garden and Arboretum community. So we really want to hear the lessons learned from designing and implementing these and sharing those out with the broader community of Botanic Gardens and Arboreta, so we really can advance our climate change education knowledge and practices as a community. So what does it look like to participate in this? First, you're going to complete an application, which we're going to be going over during this webinar. Next, you're going to commit to engaging with the PLACE Peer Learning Group in all of our activities, which are going to include some virtual and in-person meetings and presentations that will happen over the course of about 2 years, from October 2024 to September 2026. When you apply, you are going to propose a plant-centered climate change education program, activity, or interpretive approach, and you'll plan to carry that out. During your participation in the PLACE Peer Learning Group, you're going to implement that, and to support that implementation and your participation in the Peer Learning Group, you would receive some funding, which will come in two $25,000 installments for a total of $50,000. And here I'll pass things over to Ray.
Yeah, we're really excited to partner with the association to lead and administer the PLACE Peer Learning Group this year. And we wanted people to know that this partnership with the U.S. Botanic Garden and the association is through special legislation we have that give us cooperative agreement authority. And people may not understand what a cooperative agreement is, but it's something where we work together collaboratively. It's a legal and financial and programmatic document that sort of focuses on things that we agree to do together. Just so people are aware, it's not a grant and it is not a contract. Cooperative agreements must further the mission of the U.S. Botanic Garden. They also must have a public good. So we're excited about collaborating with the association and each of the members of the peer learning group that are chosen to work on this program over the next couple of years. Thanks, Emily.
Thank you. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about the criteria for participation in this PLACE Peer Learning Group. So to apply, you should be a US-based botanic gardener arboretum. You should be seeking to engage and educate the public in plant-centered climate change learning through educational programs, activities, or interpretation. We bolded the plant-centered there. So we want to emphasize that it's a really important element of what we're trying to do, really zero in on what Botanic Gardens and Arboretum as living plant museums have to offer the broader effort of climate change education in the United States. We had a great group of gardens and arboretum who participated in the pilot round of PLACE, and you can see the projects they did on the U.S. Botanic Gardens PLACE webpage. To ensure that we're going to offer this opportunity to a range of organizations, those who have previously participated in the PLACE Peer Learning Group are not eligible to apply this time around. And then, as we said, when you apply, you're going to propose a plant-centered climate change education program, activity, or interpretive approach that you plan to carry out. It can be something that's new or something that's existing. If it is an existing project that you're engaged in, we will ask you to describe your plans for improving or expanding it through your participation in PLACE. And because this work is being supported through this cooperative agreement, it cannot entail lobbying or policy advocacy of any kind. And I think here is where I will pass things back over to Bailey to talk about the commitments in this program.
Thank you, Emily. So applicants must be able to commit to participating in all virtual and in-person meetings and presentations with the Peer Learning Group between October of this year, 2024, and September 2026. And we'll be going into that more in detail when we talk about the timeline here in a couple minutes. How often will the peer learning group meet? So we anticipate that the peer learning group will meet monthly between October 2024 and spring and summer of next year, 2025. And then we will start to meet a little less frequently every other month from spring and summer of 2025 to spring of 2026. We anticipate that the group will also meet several times in the summer of 2026 to work together to plan and implement a end of program presentation. And you can see the anticipated program timeline on the criteria for participation document, and we will talk about that in just a couple minutes. When and where are the in-person commitments? There will be 2 in-person gatherings for this peer learning group. The first will be an in-person meeting in January 8th through 10th, 2025 in Washington, D.C. And the second one, we're not exactly sure where that in-person presentation will be yet. That will be decided as a group later on. All other meetings will be virtual. How many of your organization's staff will be expected to attend these meetings? We ask for a program lead, 1 point person from your organization to consistently attend meetings, and additional staff will have the option to join select sessions. How many gardens and arboreta will participate in PLACE Peer Learning Group? We anticipate engaging a small group of about 5 participating gardens, plus the United States Botanic Garden will be participating as well. The next commitment, applicants must commit to designing and implementing plant-centered climate change programs, activities, or interpretation during the spring-summer 2025 to spring-summer of 2026 timeframe. And developing and implementing an evaluation plan to examine learning outcomes for your programs, activities, and interpretation. We also expect applicants to track general program information, such as number of participants, the audiences that you're engaging with, and number and types of engaging for reporting. And sharing information about your program experience and outcomes of your work is also a part of this group. An agreement with the association committing to carry out your proposed climate change education work will be expected, and we will also be providing a budget sheet that you can find on our website and linked also in the application. that you can fill out with your proposed budget as an applicant, and we will be asking for how you're planning to spend funds, and then at the end of the program, how funds were spent on this provided budget sheet. How can funds be spent? All expenses must further the agreed upon work that you describe in your application and your participation in the PLACCE Peer Learning Group activities. Funds cannot be spent on any policy advocacy or lobbying of any kind. In addition, funds cannot be spent on major construction or capital projects. And I will hand things over to Emily to walk us through the timeline.
Thanks, Bailey. So we've previewed a little bit of what you can expect, and you can find, again, those details in the program information and criteria document, but I'm going to walk through it here with you as well. So we have an application deadline that is August 30th, 2024, and you can expect to hear a decision by September 30th. At that time, you'll be notified, and if you're selected, we'll share those agreement documents with you. Then the program itself is split up into 4 phases. And the first one we call Foundations, and this is going to happen from fall of 2024 through winter of 2025. During that time, everyone in the peer learning group will be meeting monthly to build community, as well as to engage with experts in climate change education, communication, and science. Here's what you can expect from those meetings. We did schedule the first one. That's going to be a virtual meeting that happens Thursday, October 17th from 3:30 to 5 Eastern time. We will also do virtual meetings in November and December. We'll work with the group to get those scheduled at a time that works for everybody. And then we will invite you to join us at the U.S. Botanic Garden in Washington, D.C. for an in-person gathering that's going to happen Wednesday, January 8th through Friday, January 10th. So after that in-person gathering, we'll be ready to move to phase 2 of the program, which we call Planning and Peer Conversations. And so that's going to happen during winter and spring of next year. During that time, we're going to be meeting monthly still to discuss plans for our program's activities or interpretation. And we're going to have a chance to exchange feedback with others in the group. And we will still be periodically engaging with outside experts in climate change education, communication, and science. For those meetings, same thing. Those are going to be monthly, and all of these are going to be virtual. So from February to April, we'll do virtual meetings. After that phase, we're ready to go into phase 3, which is piloting and reflection. And so that begins sort of the longest phase of the program, which we're using to pilot what we've planned. And so we'll have a year to do that. We're going to reconvene about every other month to discuss our progress, our challenges, our successes, and we will have, again, more opportunities to engage with outside experts. During this time, again, it's about 6 meetings you can expect. Those will be about every other month from May 2025 to May 2026, 90-minute virtual meetings. After that point, we are ready to do phase 4, which is sharing, and that's going to happen in summer of 2026. And so in that sharing phase, some things that we do are share outcomes of our work through completion of an end of program reporting tool, submitting anything that we've created, any products or materials that we've created from our projects. We ask that everybody creates a 3-minute video overview of their program model that they piloted so that other botanic gardens and Arboreta can sort of get a glimpse of what it was like. And then again, we will be participating in up to 2 national level presentations where we'll describe those models that we piloted, their results, and what we learned from them. Here's the meeting schedule for that 4th phase in summer 2026. It'll probably be 1 virtual meeting to plan out those presentations. We're also going to ask each peer learning group member to meet with the U.S. Botanic Garden and the association individually to give us some feedback and insights about your experience in the PLACCE program. We're going to, again, do one in-person presentation, location and date to be determined. And we'll probably also do one 90-minute virtual presentation for those who are not able to see the in-person presentation. We had a question about what are the reporting requirements. And so at the end of the program, you're going to be asked to report again on your expenses, some general program information that you're going to track throughout your implementation, things like number of participants, audiences engaged, and the number and types of engagements. We'll ask you some reflection questions about what your team has learned from the PLACE experience on that reporting tool. And then we're also going to ask you to share program products and photos and communications materials. I mentioned the 3-minute video overview we'll ask for, and then we will also ask you to participate in those 2 presentations. There's a question about, will additional funding be available to support travel to attend those in-person presentations? No, however, organizations that are chosen to participate can allocate a portion of their funds from PLACE to support travel to in-person peer learning group activities. So that includes the travel to our gathering that will happen in January 2025, as well as that in-person presentation in the summer of 2026. And we would ask that those anticipated expenses should be reflected in the proposed budget that you submit when you apply. That's it for the timeline. I'll pass it back over to Bailey to walk us through what the application includes.
Thank you, Emily. Yeah, we're going to jump right into talking about the application, and I will kind of do a walkthrough of what you can expect on the application and where to find it. So as Emily mentioned, the due date for submitting an application is August 30th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. You can access a link on our association's webpage for the application. And we'll also have a preview of questions on our website in a PDF format, so you can prepare before opening up the application form. So here is a screenshot of our webpage, and you can see here there are some program details and also a couple of places on this page you'll find the link for applying, including the Apply Here button that you can see an arrow pointing to. Also on the webpage, while we're talking about it, there will be this section for documents and resources for applicants. So you could be watching this presentation right here on the information section section here, but we also have the criteria for participation, the PDF application preview, and the budget form that will need to be submitted with your application are all linked on our webpage. So jumping into the application, I'm going to show a little bit of what the application form looks like. We'll be asking of you as an applicant, and we'll be going through some potential questions that you might have as well. So one question is, are institutions of higher education eligible to apply for PLACE? And the answer to that is yes, as long as the Botanic Garden or Arboretum is the applicant, they are eligible to apply. And here is the top of the application form. We will ask for organization, ask if you are a US-based Botanic Garden or Arboretum, which is an eligibility criteria for the program, and about your location. We will also be asking for the contact information for the program lead. This program lead will be the point person that consistently attends PLACE meetings. And if the person who is submitting this form is not the program lead, we have an additional place for the submitter of the form to input their contact information as well. We will also be asking some questions about your projects. So the first question is to describe your proposed plant-centered climate change education program activities or interpretation, include information about goals, approach, target audience, and anticipated outcomes. And that has a 400-word limit on it. This description you provide here, the United States Botanic Garden and Association might use for publicity at the award. So another question, are you prioritizing any audiences toward whom we should target our planned project, activity, or interpretation? The answer to that is no, we are not prioritizing specific audiences. Your planned project should benefit a public audience and should be described in your application clearly. Next question in the application, describe the instructional topics, content of your education program or activities or interpretation, and how it will connect plants and climate change. And there are some possible topic ideas, which are listed here and also in our criteria for participation document for you to use as a resource. So your topic may be on this list for your program, but it is not limited to these topics in particular. So some of the topics on this list include phenology and climate change, urban climate change mitigation, and adaptation with plants, climate change gardens, floristics or native ranges of plants, climate conscious plant waste reduction, such as food waste. And that list is available in the criteria if you need to refer to it. And the next question on the application is confirming that you will be able to begin piloting your proposed plant-centered climate change education program activities or interpretation by spring 2025 and complete it by spring 2026. That's to make sure that the timeline for your project and for PLACE align and are a good fit for being in the PLACE Peer Learning Group. And then here you can let us know if this is a new or existing program. And if it is existing, we ask for a little bit of additional information. We want you to describe changes you seek to make or improve to expand your project during your participation. And then the next two questions on the application are, one of them is, what do you believe the broader community of Botanic Gardens and Arboretum could learn from your plant-centered climate change education program, activities, or interpretation? And also from an organizational and professional development perspective, what do you and your team hope to learn from participating in PLACE, the peer learning group for climate change education? So we can kind of tailor what some of that might look like. Then at the end of the application, you'll be asked to upload the provided budget template. It'll be linked here in the application. If you need it again, it'll also be linked on our website itself. So you'll download our template, fill it in with your proposed budget, and also upload a letter of support signed by your organization's director or CEO. And then you will just affirm that you are authorized to submit the application, and it will be submitted and ready for our evaluation, which I will hand it over to Emily to talk a little bit about evaluation.
Great, thanks, Bailey. So once your application is submitted, it will be evaluated. And again, you can plan to receive a decision by September 30th on that. So application reviewers are going to be assessing a few different things. The first most basic thing is eligibility, making sure that you do meet those requirements. Second is your proposed project and the extent to which it clearly integrates plants and climate change, that it's appropriate for the intended audience, and that it is feasible to pilot within our PLACE timeframe. The last couple of things that we look at are alignment with the PLACE focus areas. And so again, those are learning, creating and testing and sharing. And then finally, another layer here is that we are looking to create a group. So in evaluating those individual applications and projects, we want to form a well-rounded group that's geographically varied, that has a range of different kinds of projects, and comes from a range of different garden and arboretum sizes and types. So we want to make sure that these projects have some common threads so that members of the peer learning group are able to support each other, but that are also different enough that they provide sort of a range of resources for the larger public gardens community. So we expect lots of very strong individual projects, and it's good to kind of be aware that there is this layer of thinking about assembling what the projects look like as a group that we also take into consideration. And we'll pass it back over to Bailey to close us out.
Thank you, Emily. Yes, if you have any further questions, first of all, check out our Q&A section on our website. I'm keeping it very up to date. Any questions that come in that are not already on there, I will be adding consistently throughout the application period. You're also welcome to email me those questions if you don't see them already on the Q&A page or you're unsure about something. Just let me know and send me an email. My email address is on the slide provided and on our webpage, but it is bneese@publicgardens.org. And thank you for watching our information session.
Thanks and good luck.
Thanks, everyone.